Hi there, and welcome to the Tap Intuit Podcast, where each week we interview one new healer. And this week we have Sharayah, who is visiting us all the way from Fort Collins. And we're so excited that you're here. Thank you for making the time. I know it's quite a drive.
Yes.
But without any further ado, I just would love to dive in and get our community aware of all the beautiful gifts that you're currently offering.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here, honestly. It's like so exciting. I just can't wait to dive in with you.
Me too. So, Sharayah, you're in Fort Collins.
Yes.
And can you tell us the name of your practice, where you're located, a little about what you're doing?
Yes. So I'm in Fort Collins. My business is called Reiki Fort Collins. And I'm really passionate about serving the Front Range area with Reiki. And that's all I do is just Reiki. Really passionate about energy, subtle energy, and the way that it opens up people in ways that they weren't anticipating.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And I've had the pleasure of growing up in Reiki with you.
Yes.
So
We both had the same teacher.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that has been a wonderful gift, but you have continued in your studies. So before we deep dive into your career, let's start where it all started.
Yes.
And let me ask you, was there healing in your home, or how was that experience during childhood?
There wasn't any sort of inclination of what I'm doing whatsoever when I was growing up. The only idea or perception of healing was around the Bible and Yeshua's example of healing.
Okay.
And I have a very specific memory of reading the Bible, the Gospels specifically, and the stories of Yeshua and being like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
Like, it got me really curious. And then I think there was a point in my journey as a Christian where I was like, there's no answers to this question. So, but that was more of like a subconscious process that was happening in the back of my head. I was curious. I wanted to find out more about how he did that, but there wasn't any sort of pathway within Christianity that made sense to kind of figure out what were the ways and the methods of the way he did that.
Right. So in your faith growing up, there were not laying of hands or those types of events happening where you were learning or
Oh my
studying?
gosh, you're just like totally jolting a memory for me. Kind of.
Okay.
So my parents belonged to like a prayer group where they did that sort of thing, but I was like kind of too small to be part of it, and I would go to like the nurseries or thing. But they were part of a group around that, but I didn't really experience what was happening.
Sure.
And they're little like, they called it a Bible study group, but
But they were healing each other.
I see, and that's the thing. I don't know for sure,
Sure.
but we can maybe make an assumption that that's what they were wanting to offer each
Sure.
other through that experience.
That's just something that in my own experience in growing up in non-denominational settings, the laying of hands during prayer, so that could very well be what they were doing as well. But interesting
That's
that
true.
that jolted a memory for you. Very
totally
cool.
did.
I love that. Okay, so then that begs the question of what was the thing that cracked you open and
Yes.
said, this is what I want to go and study?
Right. A little phrase called existential crisis.
That is very real.
And so many people on the spiritual path, you know, who either practice Reiki or other modalities, like that is the entry point for them, is that moment of chaos or that period of chaos.
Sure.
So this happened to me when I was 31, and going back to 2018, the spring of 2018, I had just come out of like a 5-year cycle of giving birth and raising little infants and breastfeeding and potty training. I had 3 kids in 4 years. And the spring of 2018 was when my youngest turned 1. So it was sort of like the intensity of those years kind of slowed down a little bit. And suddenly there was like this vacuum in front of me of like, what am I going to do now that I don't want any more kids? Who am I? And boy, was that a big shocker, because I felt like I hadn't changed at all. Like I thought getting married and having kids like somehow would be this subconsciously a fix for what I felt, sort of these restlessness, depression, still like a lot of deep-seated anger and resentment toward the way I was raised. And so when I was able to see all of that after that period of just intensity, that's when things really just started falling apart for me. I was like, oh dear, I don't know what to do. And through that process, I met an energy healer who, she was not a Reiki practitioner. She just had her own way of doing it. And that's when I started seeing some shifts in my reality. And I couldn't even tell you now, because it's been so long ago, like what those shifts were, but it was enough to see like, oh, I can work through these things in a way that's not talk therapy. Because for some reason I had a thing against going to talk therapy. So I was just like, but this was my jam. Like, and which is so crazy to think. Up until that time, I had no concept of energy healing.
Sure.
It was just the experience of, okay, I'm going to try this, and trusting that. And that opened the door for me to be seeing those changes for myself, but then thinking, actually, I want to do this with people. Like, there's something so mysterious, but aligned with who I am as a person. And that's when I had a friend suggest, hey, have you heard of Reiki? You should try doing a Reiki training. And then that very night I Googled, and Susan was the person that popped up first. And I was like, yes, and let's do this.
That's great. I'm so grateful that you found Reiki, especially at the time you did, because I got to learn with you.
I know.
And it's interesting, just as an aside, someone who had been through talk therapy, I found my way through Reiki because I wanted the relief that I wasn't getting there. So I think that talk therapy can be great for so many people, and it served me at a certain time, but I understand what you mean by that soul level relief, if you will. Like, so thank you for following your promptings, because you're amazing.
I can't seem to help myself sometimes.
And that's one of my favorite things about you. So how did your family react when you started this practice? Because you stated that you were raising a family and you were very faith-based. So
Right. Well, part of my existential crisis was leaving the church. And this is not something that is a negative. It just was part of my journey.
Sure.
And so my parents and my family members already knew that that was something, or a decision I had made. But then to, you know, enter this practice where I think a lot of Christians have some hesitancy around, like, where does this energy come from? And so there was some reluctance maybe, or even just uncertainty, but overall it was fine. Like, I felt so connected to what I was feeling called to that it didn't really matter like what the reactions were. I just wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So essentially, I think that there's still some like, what is she doing sort of thing going on. But
that's real. Yeah.
That's fine. They don't really have to know or understand. I just get to show up in the way that I do, and I just know I'm aligned. So that's
you
what
really are.
matters. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I can affirm that for everyone. We've touched on this just a bit. The next question asks, how has this work shifted you? And that's a loaded one, right? So we'll be gentle with you on this one.
We won't have to go down the layers. I think maybe the biggest two things. One is I am so connected, so passionate about doing this work. And personally, I've noticed a great softening and shift within my own field of energy. You know, I can recall even at the beginning of my journey just feeling so compacted, I would say, or rigid, or intolerant of certain things, or unable to process emotionally and just being very emotionally reactive to things. And now I have the ability to be more neutral about how things are coming in my direction.
Sure.
And also just feeling more open-hearted, like more compassionate, more understanding of myself first, but then also even what people bring to me. It's incredible the stories that people have and the suffering that we've all experienced to get to where we are right now. I mean, once you realize your suffering isn't special, it's unique to your journey, but each person has a story of suffering, then it just sort of opens you up to, oh, I'm not alone, and there's support, and we're in this human journey together. So.
No, that's beautiful. Big shifts for sure.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Bravo. Well, what transformations in clients have been kind of surprising for you to witness?
Oh, this is why I love what I do. I mean, there's sort of the micro transformations and the macro transformations. And the micro ones are, I have new clients or returning clients who come in and they're like, I've had this thing that's happened to me today, which is always the case. Like, if you sign up for a Reiki session, just know that the churning happens either right before session or the day of.
Yeah.
And it's always about the thing that needs to be seen, right? And so, they'll come in, they'll be like, this is the thing that's happening. The table work is so beautiful, always points to what's the deeper issue, what's the deeper root cause. And they come up in their faces and their countenance. It's like, wow, I feel so much better. I feel so much clearer. I feel so much calmer. You have those moments, and then you have the moments like I had this cancer patient who was active in treatment and had medication that was causing just like physical discomfort. And his wife was the one who sent him to me because she was just like, I think this is going to help you. And the second he got on the table and I put my hands on him, he started giggling. And I was like, okay, is he laughing because it's weird? Like, what's happening?
That's real too.
Yeah. And I don't know, like 3-4 minutes pass and he just keeps like giggling. And I was like, how are you doing? Are you okay? And he's like, honestly, it's gone. Like, the pressure is gone in my head. And he's like, it felt like a vacuum just sucked it out of my brain. And these are the moments, honestly, I'm like, I had nothing to do with that. Like, because I'm not thinking of a vacuum suctioning pressure out of his head. I'm just laying my hands there, and the wisdom of his body and the wisdom of my body and the wisdom of higher consciousness that's at play is doing the magical, mystical work. And I don't use magical lightly. It really is really special how that works. And there's many other stories, but yeah, that's one that really stands out. That was so touching. And then his wife and his daughters came in, and they got to see him just look and act and feel so much clearer, so much brighter, so much more hopeful, because he was a man in his late 30s, like two young girls, so that journey for him, I'm sure, has been really challenging to be so young. Absolutely. And it was just wonderful to see all of them leave my office feeling so hopeful.
That's amazing. And I love it, the exact way that you described the experience and what's happening during that, because being the conduit and informing the audience and clients that is what you're doing when you're practicing your modality is so important too. So thank you for saying it that way. I love it. I love it. Oh, this one I actually want to know personally.
Okay.
So what surprised you the most on your healing journey? Or even, let me say it this way, what surprised you most in your quest for gathering all of these spiritual tools for your toolbox?
I think there's two parts to this question or the answer. One is I often I'm amazed by, I'm working on something very specific, and my client is too.
Ooh.
So we're mirroring each other in our healing journey. And, you know, anyone in my position could take that as like, oh, I'm not healed enough to like meet my client in this very same thing. But often I feel the mirror is about how I'm healing together with not only myself, but another person and maybe a larger collective of people. And sometimes it's just the signal of, this is the work that's happening right now in people.
Yeah.
And so I get to mirror the very healing that another person is seeking for themselves.
Wow.
So it's just like that active component of mirror meets person. Like,
That is so real. It is interesting, and I can validate that for you. Not that you need it, but it's interesting that when someone lays on the table and says that they're going through this thing, and you're like, interesting. And I can't say that I can relate it to maybe exactly what I'm going through, but to your point, it seems that there are themes, whether it be astrological themes or just real energetic themes that are occurring in the collective. And as the healer, you're the front runner for being able to hold that space, which is amazing.
I know. I joke. I'm like an inch in the front, like an inch. Like I'm just barely in front of people, like
the pacer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we need that though.
Yes,
we need that.
Yes.
So thank you.
I think the second part of that question is when we finally make the breakthrough. And sometimes it's at the least expected moment, because sometimes, you know, we feel like we've been churning through the same issues. We've gone around the spiral several times.
Yes.
And then we're like, is this the moment of breakthrough? And sometimes it isn't, but sometimes it is. And sometimes it's not a dramatic thing, and other times it is. And getting to hold space with someone who has that breakthrough, is like so juicy.
Yeah.
So it's often a surprise when they have one, because it's not necessarily what I'm anticipating when I work with someone or myself. They're always like at the least anticipated moments where maybe we're not putting that pressure on ourselves to have that in that particular time.
I've always loved that about you and your practice, though. There never felt like there was a striving or a goal or an outcome unless there was a true intention that somebody had laid out before you, because we worked together in both capacities to where I've come to you and said, I have this thing, can you help me? And also like, I'm not really sure, I just think I need some help. And so I love that you can hold the space for the both and I think it's really important for listeners and clients to know that you're capable of that. We can come in with a real intention, and we can also hold space for, I just feel like I need support right now.
Yes. And as on the healer side of things, you know, there's an evolution that we go through of sort of backing off expectation.
Yeah.
And that's just a human journey, really. As like, you know, as how I'm showing up for a person, the way that they need, and am I doing the right things, and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, when I take a step back and be like, I am really just the bridge, then, you know, whatever they need flows through that. And that's often where the magic happens.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Would you like to share a little bit about your experience in the community at Fort Collins and the things that you have ongoing there currently?
I have a couple of really exciting opportunities. One is that a nonprofit group called Three Hopeful Hearts has decided to hire me to work with their families who've lost children. So I am so lit up about this opportunity because grief is such a doorway for healing for people. Not just this type of grief, but any kind of grief, really. Lee Harris calls grief the spiritual portal, which when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's really profound. Because it gives weight to not just the feeling of grief and just the intolerable pain that people experience with it, and it gives it an opportunity to be used and transformed in time for whatever a person wants to bring in for themselves. Wow. And I say that with such gentleness. You know, I'm not going to do these sessions with people expecting that. I'm just there to hold the pain with them. But I'm also holding this higher idea of, let's just hold you through this and what's going to happen on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, like there's that hope of there's something on the other side of this. And I'm not pushing you there, but let's see what happens. Yeah. I'm hired by nursing home facilities that are owned by Ensign. And they are a medical group that works with different nursing home facilities for specialized care and rehabilitation. And I get to work with nurses. Oh. And that's been one of my favorite things to do. I started doing that almost 2 years ago. Yeah. And I come into the nursing home facilities or specialized care facilities, and I offer like 20-minute Reiki sessions with staff and nurses. And it's been so magical because most people who are in the medical community, well, I won't say most, but many, have never heard of Reiki. And 80% of them who end up landing on my table are like, what is this? Yeah. Like, I feel so much better. And usually in those settings, I'm not there to do the transformative work with them. It's more of like, let me hold space for you to be in silence. Yeah. And it's paid. And they get to rest, and then they have that break in their day so that when they go back, you know, they can handle the rest of the day with a little bit more strength. Yeah. Because so many of them don't have even an opportunity when they get off of work to have their own time because they have families and obligations, and nurses are so good about ignoring their own needs and to take care of everyone else. So I get to be that person to like just help them remember, hey, come take a break. You deserve it.
and please, if you're listening and you have the opportunity, please take the break.
Yes,
take the break.
Yes.
And do that for yourself because there's so many of us that push through the everyday.
I know it. Yeah. I know it. And then of course I have my private practice. So
yes. Well, tell us about that. Where is it located?
It's
How can
in Midtown area. So I'm at ReikiFortCollins.com. Super easy. And you can find me on Google Maps. And my website is just updated. It's gorgeous. I love it so much. Yeah. And yeah, it's in Midtown Fort Collins area. And I do an office share with another Reiki practitioner. And that's been really a lot of fun. And actually, we have a sort of a collaborative dream to open a Reiki center there. Oh. We'll see how that fleshes out. But that's kind of in line with the lineage of Reiki, which is more like collaborative community healing. Yes. So we'll see how that goes.
I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah. In all of your practice, what misconceptions do you wish that the public at large knew about Reiki?
Okay. There's a couple. One is, I think a lot of times, and this is just probably because of the way Reiki is presented or experienced by people, that Reiki and massage go together and that they're the same thing. Okay. They are not the same thing. As we know, massage is about the practice of the physical body and the relaxation of the muscles and tissues and the alignment, where Reiki is about reading the field of energy and being drawn to the places where we're experiencing energetic challenges. Yeah. So they're very separate. I think the second one would be that Reiki is just about relaxation and calmness, but actually it's so juicy, so deep. You can really go into the deeper places of the human psyche with Reiki. And that's where I thrive as a practitioner. Like, I really want to go to the places people are willing to go to find healing, to the roots of the problem. Like, that is me. Like, I want to find the places where people are really suffering, give it a name, and be like, we don't have to do this anymore. And often at the level of energy, it bypasses the mind, it bypasses the emotional. Sometimes it even bypasses bodily response to weave in new patterns so that we can like go forward, taking that deep, spacious breath of like, okay, I want to do something different. I want to do something new. I want to integrate a new aspect of being.
Right. No, I love that. Thank you.
It has a lot of power. And I think that's why I just do Reiki, because I want to see how far it goes, how far I can take the rabbit hole with energy.
Absolutely.
And just like really hone in and master the skill of Reiki.
That's wonderful. And thank you for doing that. I do like the master of a skill as opposed to jack of all trades, master of none.
There is, room for every sort of practitioner.
Right.
But for me personally, this is what I feel called and aligned to is, and I think this is just part of my own arc of, we don't have to go there, but past life stuff. Like I just really love energy and the juiciness and the mystery of it.
Agreed. And there's something to be said about feeling it in your body your whole life, right?
Yes.
And being sensitive to it your whole life. And then
Yes.
finally, and then as a mother,
Yes.
recognizing, oh my gosh, this exists.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful. That,
Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
totally changed motherhood. I could have said that too earlier about like, how has this changed my life? It has totally changed how I'm a mother. And I am constantly grateful because it's a tool that I get to use to support my children.
Absolutely.
I mean, like if I didn't have Reiki, I would be a hot mess and a half.
Yeah. I get it. Me too. Do any one of your kiddos enjoy it more than the others?
Yes, my youngest. And
Yeah.
I am convinced that she will someday also take up the mantle of healing. It doesn't have to be Reiki, but it'll be some way. Like she's the empath of, they're all empathic in their own ways, but she has the spiritual empath that I see mirrored in myself with her.
Oh,
So,
bless her.
I know.
She's in for a ride.
I know. She already has been on one.
Bless her. And how old is she again now?
She's 8.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
hard to believe.
I feel like that is the tender time when it just really starts to come online too. So hang in there,
Yes,
Mama.
I know.
Is there one protective tool that you're relying on most recently for yourself, but also your kiddos, that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Sure. So it's kind of evolved a little bit. I was using a crystal pendant last year when she was going to school to help ground her energy, and that was Jet, if anyone's particularly interested. It's a really grounding stone for more psychically open people that's not too heavy for them. So I had her wearing that because part of her sensitivity is just picking up on all of the other children's, teachers' energies, and just like trying to help her feel safe in her body while she's just navigating that. And now it's moved to actually giving her like a Reiki blessing when I see her so that she feels more grounded in her own energy presence. And I've seen that that has helped her the most because part of my practice is teacher. And so I get the opportunity to, know when I get to do those blessings with her and try to be very discerning. Because as parents, we're very close to the struggles of our kids, and sometimes we're the person that can do the intervention, and sometimes it's other people.
Yeah.
And so there's been points where I've had to invite other practitioners to support her specifically.
Sure.
But back to the protection. For myself, I just use my own field of energy for protection. And the connection I have to my higher wisdom and my own source of energy is what fills all of the gaps and the spaces that could be potential vulnerable spots for, what else is in the soup in the mix of, say I'm going to Costco or the gas station or the grocery store, just having a sense of this is my field, it's filled with my own energy, my vibration, and I'm making that as full as I can. And this is a practice that I do constantly to just make sure that I'm aware, first of all, of what's happening in my energy field. But second of all, source is there. Source is right there to bring in that protection for us. And, part of that is vibrational. So if I'm connected to that vibration of my own higher energy, it's not going to want to like bring in the hooks of maybe lower denser vibrations because it just doesn't match. So if I'm aware and conscious of my own energy field, then that's where I find that what used to be overwhelming for me, because, you know, I'm very empathic as well, as most Reiki practitioners are. Now I feel a sense of strength and clarity that I may not have had even a year ago.
Yeah. Well, it's an evolution, right?
Totally.
Over time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is the healing journey. You know, I think a lot of people have a bit of a hang up around the word healing.
Yes.
Healers have a hang up around the word healing.
Yes.
And, you know, kind of like circling back to what I was first saying with Yeshua, you know, healing has been tangled with miraculous. But to me, and that does happen with healing, healing can be miraculous, but it's actually the slow evolutionary steps that we take along the spiral. It really is the journey. So many people will want to come for the quick fix, and that's just not going to happen. It's not that it's impossible, but there's something about the process of that's really important for humans to experience. Not sure why, but that's there.
We begged for it.
I know.
Give us all of the lessons.
Give us all the lessons. So, you know, if anyone's coming to my practice, you know, I just want to make that clear that I'm here to just walk the road with you. If something big happens, wonderful. I'm excited for those big moments. But also, it gives us permission just to be doing the walk, however fast or slow it takes.
That was so beautifully said. Thank you so much. And also for other healers to hear about where you are today as opposed to even a year ago in your own energy container. Because even for healers, it's very much like any other modality. If I need to go to talk therapy, I need to go find another talk therapist if I'm a talk therapist, right? For myself, like, I so wish you weren't in Fort Collins because I need my people. Also, I want to let others know your magic from afar because distance Reiki with you is just as powerful. So if listeners aren't local to Fort Collins, knowing that you offer those services, I want to make sure that people are aware.
I do have a testimony. I have recently started doing channeling work. And it's not quite open to the public yet, but I do want to do it as part of my practice because it just goes hand in glove with Reiki. The more that I'm accessing my own spiritual wisdom, the more clarity I bring into the channel that is Reiki. So I had a client in Sydney, Australia.
Cool.
A friend who reached out to me and she's like, you are the person that I need to just help me see something that I cannot see for myself. And it had to do with her family and the women of the family and this pattern that they're caught up in. And so I did channeling work for her and it was exactly what she needed. Like it was on point, spot on.
Wow.
And it was really kind of fun because there was some things that I was writing because I did it through automatic writing.
Wow,
and I was like, I don't know what I'm writing right now. And it made sense to her. And that's how I knew it was like a legitimate thing that was helpful and that I wasn't crazy. I was hearing the right messages for her. And so if I do distance work, it is doing channeling with people. And that will be an offering at some point.
That's very cool. Wow, thank you. And I love that you're stepping into that space because I think that you've been doing channeling since the beginning, right? I think many of us, I love that you said that it's like a glove with Reiki. You're right. It is something that we just become more aware of as our container becomes more clean and whole.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's come at the right time in my life where I feel a spaciousness to bring this in as a way to support people. And it's just been a lot of fun. Because, you know, we can get really serious about healing and the practices and doing shadow work and channeling has just been a little bit more playful for me because I get to talk to my guides and they're like, so what's going on today? What questions do you have for me?
Honestly.
And so, but Reiki is the channeling of higher consciousness ultimately. And so this is just just a different stream of information, really.
Yeah, I appreciate your insight into that. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we work to close,
Yes.
is there one wish or hope that you could leave with the audience for them?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think the journey of life is painful and deeply painful for so many of us, maybe everybody. And for someone who is on a healing journey where they're bringing more awareness and consciousness to their life, their choices, their relationships, and they're just feeling that they're in this sludge and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I am a testimony that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that does not mean that we stop growing, that we stop learning, that we stop healing, but more is there is a space and time at the beginning of our spiritual journeys that it feels heavy because we're just seeing everything all at once.
Yeah.
But once we sort of move through, the majority of what feels dense, it gets easier, it gets lighter. We start being able to utilize the tools in a more effective, efficient way to help us move into more coherent states faster. So that would be my wish for people to know that it does get easier and life gets more fun and playful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would wish that too, because looking at these things with childlike eyes or a beginner's mind is so important, so that we can soften to the allowing of the healing, right? And I think that's so important.
Yeah, the more we sink into it, and I didn't learn this lesson until maybe a couple of years ago, the more I allow myself to feel into what is hard, the quicker it moves. And again, that's kind of the mystery of the thing. But, the more we're in resistance to something, the harder it is for it to leave the field. And so I've realized surrender is my best friend.
Yes.
Even though that word has been so... It's sometimes I don't want to hear that word. I don't want to surrender. I just want to fight, because I have a bit of a fighting nature. I just want to fight the thing. But the more I embrace surrender, the more things just are more easeful in the journey, in the process. So
I get that. One of my favorite lyrics from Florence and the Machine is, "I'm not giving up, I'm just giving in." And I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, right.
You can only fight so much.
I
But
know
you
it.
are a fighter, and you're doing wonderful things in Fort Collins and for the community at large. So, Sharayah, with all of my heart, thank you for making the drive to the studio today.
Yes, thank
It was
you.
a trek, and I appreciate your presence and that you are living your truth and that you're continuing to evolve. It's just been a beautiful evolution to witness.
Thank you.
And,
Same. I mean, we met over 4 years ago now.
Isn't that crazy?
And we both have been on wild rides since.
It's been a journey, and I'm really grateful when our paths cross again.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I
thank
feel so
you.
honored. Thank you for inviting me.
all the time, every time. And for folks out there, we will let you know how to get in touch with Sharayah in the comments below. And keep an eye out for her when you're visiting Fort Collins. She's a gem that you won't want to miss. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.